Hi, my name is Mike Acosta. In this video, I'll show you some creative ways to breathe life back into old drum loop samples or use new drum loop samples as a way to inspire new creative rhythms and sound design ideas. For this video, I'll be using the free Beatport Sounds Audio Drum Sample Pack that can be downloaded from sounds.beatport.com. When I'm trying to come up with new ideas for tracks or simply creating new content for sound design purposes, I tend to work outside of my normal DAW environment. So I'll be working in Maschine 2 with the Maschine Studio controller, as I tend to use Maschine a lot as my scratch pad for many musical ideas. I'll be using 3 loops from this free Beatport Sounds pack, one of them being a B version. The first loop is S2S Free Beat Loop 1A. Then its alternate version, which simply has no kick in it. Also, Free Beat Loop 5A, no kick. And Free Beat Loop 6A, no kick. The first thing I tend to do with drum loops in order to inspire creation for new beats is to slice and reverse. First thing I'll do is simply reverse the Free Beat Loop 1A, no kick. Here's the original. And here it is in reverse. Now I'm going to slice the reverse sample into 8 equal divisions and then assign them to the pads. Next, I'll slice the same 1A version that has the kick in it and simply truncate it down so that I can extract just the kick sample and place it on its own pad in an empty bank. Now here in bank A, I have just the kick drum from that loop. I really like the attack of the kick, but I'll use one of my own kick drums for the lower end subpart. So I'll adjust the end point a bit and add a high pass filter to remove the low end and focus on the attack a bit more with the transient shaper. As you can hear now, it has a mild, sharper attack with all the low end rolled out. I'll layer this kick later on with my own sub kick here that is from our Bits to Bytes Deep Tech Kicks pack. Now I'm going to slice the other 2 samples from the free pack in the same kind of way using equal divisions of 8 or 16. Now that we have all these elements sliced and mapped out, I like to start out with a simple 4/4 beat. So I'll start with my kick drum in bank A and then layer it with my sub kick. Next, as you can see here, we have the pattern laid out from the loop that was divided into 8 slices equally in bank E. Because we have it sliced and mapped into MIDI, we can now remove certain parts, or have certain parts trigger at other times, or in a whole new rhythm or time signature by simply moving the notes around. I'm just going to remove a couple of notes and keep the parts I like at their current positions. Let's also add a transient master and a filter to this group to give it a little snap and character. Now, let's make some use of those sliced reverse samples in Bank C. I'll also add the ice verb on some of the samples and darken the color of the reverb a bit, and this will help add some depth to these samples. Now, let's add some top elements to this simple beat like hats and percussion parts with the last loop we sliced into 16 divisions in Bank D. For this, I like to randomly tap pads and trigger stuff and then quantize things after and manually move notes around until I get something that works. Now I'll add a frequency shifter on the group to dirty it up. Slightly widen the stereo image a bit. And add a gate to tighten things up a tad. Since we're only using drum loops, there are still some ways to create some sort of melodic content from these drum loops. I'll start by using the free Beat Loop 6B drum loop in Bank B, and adding the ResoChord plugin from Native Instruments. There are other types of plugins out there that do similar things, so make sure you experiment. Notice how we have control over the color. And under the pitch, we have control over the mode, style, and chord. What I did was resample this loop 3 times. Each time with a different chord setting, and then assigned each sample back to the pads, which are colored here in purple. Now let's drop these into our drum pattern. Finally, let's add a few plugins to this group to really bring out the resonated chords and add some character to it. I'll start first by adding a filter with the LFO set to sync, triggering the cutoff. Next, I'll add a little room verb. And lastly, I'll add a compressor with the sidechain engaged and set to bank A1 where our kick is. This now allows the kick to trigger the compressor and add a mild pumping effect to the resonated chord samples. I'm also going to go back and add a clap using parts from 2 of the chopped up loops. On this part, I'll use a short portion of the sample for the attack and adjust the note lengths. In this group, I'll use this particular clap sample and adjust its velocity to allow the attack of the other clap hit to come through a bit as well. At this stage is where you normally would now work on your mix, and it's always good to use a frequency analysis plugin to make sure that all your drum elements are not colliding with each other or canceling each other out in the mix. I personally enjoy using the M multi-analyzer from Melda Production, as it's one of the few analyzers that can be inserted into all your tracks, including the master bus, and then each instance of the plugin communicates with the other instances and allows you to color code the frequencies of each respective track or bus. As you can see here, I've color-coded every frequency range from each track according to the same color coding scheme in Maschine's mixer window. So now from this one view of the multi-analyzer on my master bus, I can see all of the frequencies of my tracks, solo them, and easily correct any problems that a particular track or group bus may be having with another one, frequency-wise. A little subtractive EQing, mild bus compression, and we are good to go for this material to be used later in production or a sound design project. As you can see, there are so many ways to manipulate audio these days, and some of the things I showed you are just scratching the surface. As always, experiment and have fun. There are no real rules, and sometimes the best musical things come from our mistakes or experimentations. I'm Mike Acosta from Sounds to Sample and Beatport Sounds. Thanks for watching.